America has given us an unprecedented and powerful mandate.
Since last week's election in the US, President-elect Donald Trump has started the process of appointing his administration. For his national security advisor, Trump has chosen retired Army Green Beret and Trump loyalist Mike Waltz. Waltz has publicly praised Trump's foreign policy views. Waltz has previously criticized Chinese activity in the Asia-Pacific and advocates for stronger US military readiness in the region.
And I'd be sitting in the back, I'd say, get them off.
For Trump's Secretary of State, it's reported he picked Florida Senator Marco Rubio, making him the first Latino to hold the role. Rubio's policies are in line with Trump's.
Because together with Donald Trump, we are going to make America not just great, but greater than it has ever been before.
That response is...
For CIA Director, Trump is considering former Congressman and prosecutor John Ratcliffe, who served as Director of National Intelligence in his final year in office.
His committee, members or staff...
In the US, a deadly wildfire on the border with New York and New Jersey has killed a forest range volunteer and scorched around 5,000 acres. Despite overnight rain at the Jennings Creek fire, strong winds continue to fuel the blaze. Authorities say around 20% of it is now contained.
And we are experiencing an unprecedented dry spell. And we are currently in historical numbers for our critical fuels or the forest floor being dried out, and we're seeing stuff that we haven't seen in quite some time here in New Jersey.
Over on the west coast in California, a mountain fire has burned more than 20,000 acres near Los Angeles. Around 36% of the flames are contained, but strong winds are expected to exacerbate the situation. Authorities are urging caution as both coasts face ongoing threats.
Colombia has been declared a state of national disaster after flash floods devastated towns such as Choco and other parts of the country. More than 30,000 families have been affected. The Colombian president, Gustavo Petro, blames climate change.
We declared this state of disaster throughout the country due to climate variability, generating unpredictable and unusual impacts and increasing vulnerability in the territories.
Despite initial reports of the number of affected families nationally, authorities say the number could be much higher.
These are preliminary figures. I think it's important to emphasize that. For example, in the case of Choco, we're talking about 30,000 families, and nationally, we could be talking about more than hundreds of thousands of affected families.
The South American nation has been plagued with a series of natural disasters recently. Early in the year, the country was in another state of emergency following devastating wildfires. Officials attributed this to extreme hot and dry conditions. The South American nation is one of the most biodiverse countries in the world. It will be hoping for a positive outcome from the COP29 Climate Change Summit in Baku.
Countries at the two-week COP29 Climate Summit in Baku, Azerbaijan, gave the go-ahead on Monday to carbon credit quality standards. These are critical to launching a UN-backed global carbon market that would fund projects that reduce greenhouse gas emissions. The deal on Article 6.4 of the Paris Agreement could allow a UN-backed global carbon market to start up as soon as next year, according to reports.
I now invite the CMA to adopt the draft decision contained in document PA/CMA/2024/L.1. Thank you.
It'll allow companies or countries to offset their own emissions by funding projects that reduce CO2 emissions. This deal has been years in the making. It was initially proposed back in 2015 at the Paris Agreement under Article 6, and the work on it will continue.
We want to reassure you that the proposed decision on the annual reports of the supervisory body and the Article 6.4 standards would not conclude our work on Article 6.4 at this section. This decision will in no way prevent parties from providing further guidance to the supervisory body at the CMA.
According to the International Emissions Trading Association, total trading in the UN-backed market could generate $250 billion a year and cut up to 5 billion metric tons of annual carbon emissions by 2030.
It's all about the science being shown to people here at the COP, and especially for people living with disabilities. Aside from the intense climate talks, the COP is a huge event connecting and bringing all people together. And the organizers say they want to do it without limitations.
We analyzed the previous COP events, read the feedback, and saw what aspects were lacking in those, especially in terms of completing the objective. Thus, a decision was made for the COP29 event to be presented to the public as a new model, particularly regarding inclusivity. We have already prepared our action plan for this model. Our action plan includes ensuring that individuals with disabilities in each category can move freely and comfortably at this event.
The venue features ramps, dedicated lifts, designated parking, and adapted restrooms. So far, those attending say it's all working.
I'm very impressed. In COP29, it's the opportunity for all to be here. And even people on wheelchairs or on crutches, they can easily access to the place. The COP29, very well organized. I have just attended the opening ceremony. Excellent arrangement. I was impressed. And for the accessibility of the special groups, I'm grateful to Baku, Azerbaijan, for making us and helping us to be part of this COP29.
Braille signage is provided on all doors and tactile maps are available at the entrances to the zones.
When I entered the venue, I truly saw that complete inclusivity is being created for everyone, including individuals with disabilities. In every way, from the entrance to the registration area to the service areas and the halls, there are no obstacles for individuals with disabilities here.
COP29 even has a quiet room, specially designed area which offers controlled sensory environment for individuals with autism or anxiety attacks. The room is equipped with sensory materials and tools such as sensitive lighting, comfortable seating, and soothing atmosphere. These sunflower symbol ribbons are for individuals with invisible disabilities, like attendees with autism or other neurodevelopmental disorders, to remind others they should be conscious of their needs.
We're receiving very positive feedback, not only from users, but also from other people attending the event. And we can observe the positive attitude from the outside. The number of questions directed to us is extremely high, and we are very happy that we were truly able to accomplish this.
The hope is that people with disabilities will be able to engage fully like everyone else during the 2 weeks of the COP29 conference here in Baku.
It's all bootstrapped and into position as the COP29 climate conference sets off in Baku, Azerbaijan. Security forces are concentrated at the Baku Stadium, the venue for the 2-week-long event. Attendees are thoroughly checked before proceeding only as far as the zone permitted by their pass. The United Nations has added an extra layer of security by assigning their own detail. These officers have been tasked to guard the blue zone, the area in which world leaders are expected to deliver speeches on Tuesday. This year's climate conference will serve as Azerbaijan's biggest ever event, seeing an estimated 40,000 attendees.
Just over 10 years ago, this is what Baku's Black City district looked like. Now new quarters with high-rise apartments blocks, state-of-the-art parks, roads and bridges have sprung up. All these have altered and updated the face of the country's capital city incredibly quickly. The oldest hub of the global oil industry rapidly transformed into a modern metropolis with a unique character. Now, around 75% of the project is going to be residential units, creating a new community for the 700,000 households for about 50,000 people, as well as commercial and leisure units, which will provide up to 48,000 jobs.
It's a very wonderful project because earlier it was known as Black City because of this industrialization in this particular area, and the lives were not possible there, and Azerbaijan has changed the whole structure of this city. It's now livable, it's green environment, and it's beautiful to see such a city growing up so fast, where you can accommodate more than 10,000 of people from different places. And this is a big step to the future, showing that as a country we are ready to become, renewable and sustainable and on top of human development.
In 2006, with the decree of the President of Azerbaijan, we started working on this project. And today we are proudly displaying this project in a crucial event like COP29. And the guests are also pointing out the before and after pictures of the city, showing how polluted it was before and how clean and built up it is now. Since the headquarters of COP is in the White City, most of the guests were there and saw the place in real life. And in here, they are looking at the displays.
The redevelopment is positioned as a key part of Baku's growth, aiming to enhance the city's infrastructure and create a desirable location for living and business while preserving its cultural heritage.
Research by the University of Iceland and the Iceland Meteorological Office is examining whether the rapid loss of ice may trigger more seismic activity. With Iceland's glaciers shrinking rapidly, losing about 16% of their volume in the last 130 years, half of that in the past 3 decades, scientists believe another surge could be imminent.
So at the moment, glaciers cover approximately 10% of Iceland, and the glaciers are presently retreating as a result of current-day global warming. So this can influence volcanism in a number of ways. So firstly, more magma is being generated in the mantle as a result of decompression melting. And this is essentially because of the unloading when the ice melts from the glaciers, and then the rebound of the crust. So on top of that, it can affect the stress fields in the crust. So this can actually change or alter magma migration pathways, which means that we could have new intrusions in different areas than what we've seen prior.
An eruption could bring serious consequences for Iceland and far beyond, reminding the world of nature's power and the profound climate change impact.
The 29th United Nations Climate Change Conference has attracted global attention. International media has extensively covered the significance of the event happening in Azerbaijan. They discussed the Article 6.4 agreement, which will help countries reduce their carbon emissions. The Financial Times highlights this historic deal to establish global carbon markets. It also focused on the US re-election of Donald Trump having an impact on the agreement. Bloomberg calls the deal a breakthrough and mentions that the COP29 president, Mukhtar Babayev, says it's a critical and long overdue deal. The Guardian says this agreement was hailed as a significant early win and mentioned the potential challenges posed by the absence of world leaders, together with concerns over a possible US retreat from climate diplomacy. Reuters comments that campaigners say it falls short in areas including protecting the human rights of communities affected by projects to reduce greenhouse gas emissions.